And how many clients do you work with right now?
So currently we are catering 20 clients at this moment. It's a
Okay.
mix of
Okay.
B2B and B2C.
And if you would like to share, what is the kind of revenue you make in a month?
It's a six-figure agency as of now. So, and we are a team of 8 people right now.
Why did you become an entrepreneur?
Lovely question actually. I mean, very few ask that question. So, career started in the year 2017. This is when I was also doing my college. So,
Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of the Female Founders Podcast. I have with me a very young lady here who is a female entrepreneur who has been running her marketing agency for the last 3 years, and she is helping her clients with lead generation, content creation, website development, branding, you name it, and her agency does it. So today we want to understand, how did she start the business, when did she start, and most importantly, why did she start a business? Before we get into that, let me welcome Himani. Welcome, Himani, to the show. Thank you for doing this.
hi, thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much. Okay, so let's begin by asking the biggest question, that why did you become an entrepreneur?
Lovely question actually. I mean, very few ask that question. So, yeah, actually, my career started in the year 2017. This is when I was also doing my college. So, like, I was already on a lookout for internships and stuff like that because I was interested in learning practical stuff, right? Because I hail from journalism background. So, I was doing my bachelor's in mass media and communication, right? And during that time, I was like, you know what, let's just look out for internships and see how it goes. So I began with content writing. And then, I kept working with multiple agencies, multiple clients and stuff like that, and ended up working in a Mumbai-based agency for a slightly longer period, like a year or two. And that's when, I could understand that, okay, fine, this is something that really interests me. Talking to clients, handling those relations, creative solutions, helping them with their brands, website solutions and stuff like that. I really enjoy that process because it had major creativity. And I was like, you know what, this is something that interests me. And in the year 2020, when pandemic happened and all that, we were all working from home, and that's when I was like, you know what, I do want to start an agency, but I'm not yet confident. So I was just taking up experience. And one fine day in the year of 2020, I was like, you know what, let's just take the leap and see how it goes, right? Because I already had an experience of working with clients. I already had made up certain clients by then that, you know what, even if I start up, would you be interested in working with us? And they were very much supportive. So that's how Media Moose came into being. Media Moose is a creative agency where we focus at branding and website design. So the main reason why Media Moose started was come up with an agency wherein the major focus is on impact. When we say impact, it is not just financial aspects, but something beyond that, right? Because when we consume media, multiple thing comes in the picture: the kind of story you're creating, the kind of problems you're
Yeah,
solving.
yeah.
You literally get a voice. And when the best way to reach out to maximum people and create an impact in the society is working with clients, multiple
Right,
ways of
right.
reaching out to people, right? And yeah.
Ask you a question here before we move forward, that you mentioned that you were doing a job, and then I think pandemic was the time when most
Hmm.
beautiful businesses were built, because we
Yeah.
had that kind of leverage while there was a massive setback to the country and the world, but there was some good outcomes out of that.
Hmm.
So you left your job then, and then you started a business. So what was the primary reason of quitting your job and starting an agency? Because all of us dream of becoming an entrepreneur, being our own
Yeah.
boss. But what was your one primary reason that pushed you and said that, okay, now let's quit the job, let's get into entrepreneurship? What was that one
Right.
hitting point? Yeah.
Correct. So actually, I always wanted to get into business from initial years. Everybody says I want to be a CA and stuff like that. I didn't want to be a CA or anything. I already have a
Yeah.
lot of CAs in my family, and I've seen them. So I was like, I want to. I want to get into entrepreneurship, but I wasn't really sure how to go about it and stuff like that. So that thought was always there in my mind. And
Okay.
when I was working with, I had worked with multiple agencies, I had done freelancing, right? I could always see certain gaps there, right? So let's just say in certain agencies, they just pushed content for the sake of finances, we'll just do two revisions for the sake of it and all that. It was completely transactional. That's what I
Yeah.
saw
Yeah.
initially, that most of the agencies work that way. And I couldn't see a lot of interest from impact perspective, right? And then
Yeah.
the other agency that I joined, it was wonderful working there. Reason being, they were focusing at impact aspect, they were focusing at the financial aspect. Everything was there, but they were not really putting at branding, right? They were doing full-fledged marketing. When I say marketing, it is like, your social media management, marketing, ad spend, stuff like that. But what I could understand was, if I get a chance to create brand from scratch, that's where, I can shape the brand as well as per the founders and stuff like that. So more creation happens if you are a part of it from the initial phase, right? So I could see that,
Absolutely.
yeah, I could see that the agency that I am working with don't really forte at branding. And that's when in 2020, I was like, what, if I am to start this out? So the previous agency I was working with, I spoke to the founders and I was like, what, this is what I am thinking. And this is a bold move because I was just 20 back then, and my
Yeah.
third year results were about to come. And I was like, what, I really think I should take a leap. Worst case scenario, it doesn't work out, right? But I am okay to fall because I'm just 20. I don't have any responsibilities as such or something like that. So I was like, this is the right chance to take a leap, see how it goes. But even before taking that leap, I spoke to the agency founders, and luckily they waived non-compete. So the clients I was working there, if those clients are interested to come and work with me, they can come. And I was like, that's wonderful. So one by one, I started reaching out to the clients that I was working with, right? And luckily two clients
Absolutely.
happened to be like, what, Imani, let's just go and see how it goes. And that's
Yeah.
how the journey started.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. But what I'm more interested in the nitty gritties of what was happening on the back end, because this is the front end. You're taking that big move, you're quitting your job, you're moving to business, you're working with clients, you're talking to the founders. This is all front end. This is not really the back end, which goes on. That
Hmm.
is your emotions, how I'm going to manage it. And then one thing I'm definitely going to highlight is that the shape and perspective of today's society towards women is definitely changing,
Yeah.
but it
Hmm.
is still a long way to go. We are yet to
Definitely.
take a long leap. But most of times, when women want to keep a step forward, it is either the so my question in a concise way is that, did you have any roadblocks from the society, from your relatives, from the immediate family, coming like that, be prepared for marriage? What is this that you're getting into?
Hmm.
Focus on your education, you have to get married. Did you
Hmm.
have those fires coming your way? And if yes, how did you deal with it?
Honestly speaking, none of it. Yeah, I mean, none of it. And I've been asked these questions multiple times, and that's when you start thinking that, oh, I'm grateful that none of these things came in the way, right? So on the back end, right, if we go back on the back end, what was happening is, I told at home, what, this is something that I'm planning to start off. Initial question was, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. Worst case scenario, I failed, right? Both
Yeah.
parents were pretty cool, honestly speaking. I mean, no questions were asked beyond this because I was just 20. There is nothing that can go wrong majorly as such. My clients, I already ticked off certain stuff, right? Like that, in initial capital is something that I am ready to invest on my own. That is something that's sorted. Clients to get the cash flow started. That was also sorted. So initially everything was sorted, and since I have worked from an early age, the kind of trust I've built with clients, the kind of credibility I've shown, at even at home, or let's just say in the society, anywhere that I've worked with, there was no such doubts as such. Honestly, my parents were like, "Yeah, go for it. If you're sure about it, let's just see how it goes." So, and the marriage thing, I mean, I am till date, I have not asked about it. So Nobody
Then
has
you're
asked
lucky.
about marriage or anything.
Yeah, yeah. Then you're lucky. That's
Yeah.
why I asked that question, because a lot of times, even if it doesn't come from the parents, it can come from the society or from the relatives. So it is important
Hmm.
that we have those kind of discussions, because women who have that kind of a fear,
Right.
maybe people are not asking, but it's just a fear in their mind. Like people like
Correct.
you
Correct.
can come forward and say that, the pattern is changing. People no longer ask this question, but there are so
Right.
many people, there are so many women who have this thought that I will be asked about marriage if I take a leap towards my career. So that is also a myth. And
Hmm.
if that is
Hmm.
a fear that is building, that needs to be broken. So that is why these
Correct.
open discussions are crucial.
Definitely,
I would,
definitely. And I think, yeah, I do
yeah,
think
go
that
ahead.
I'm lucky in that case. Reason being, the family that I've grown into, the upbringing and everything, all my, like you mentioned, if not the immediate family, but other relatives that have asked these questions, the questions don't come majorly because all the females in my family, right? Majorly, almost females are working. All are working women. Some are housewives by choice. There was no stopping per se or questions about marriage because honestly speaking, I mean, like it's a family wherein we are open to if you are confident, if you are ready to get married, that's the right time because it is way better that you're confident about it than just stepping into it with the peer pressure and stuff like that. So
Right,
that way
right.
extremely lucky with that. So yeah, but I definitely understand a lot of females that I have also met have had these questions like, "Are you sure you want to do this? What about the family? What about kids?" Like, it goes till the kids, right? Which I completely understand. And if somebody comes up to me and shares their opinion about these things, I'm very open-minded that way. So I just hear them out. And then in the end, it's my choice, right? Like you hear from everyone, and then you decide what's working out
Absolutely.
best for you. So
That's
yeah,
that's a beautiful thing you've said, because the kind of content, I would call it content, even if it is coming from someone, that's also like verbal
right.
content. The kind of content we consume today, whether it's photo, video, or verbal,
Hmm.
or phone calls, or gossips for that matter, whatever kind of content we are consuming, that affects us so much that there is cleansing that is required, that you hear it from here and you just throw it out from here, because if that enters your brain, that
Yeah,
affects you, that affects your work, because you're not able to concentrate well. You keep thinking about
correct.
this, oh, what if, and that what if loop
Hmm.
keeps going on. That's so true. I would love to know the experience of getting the convincing of that first client in the first payment. You've already shared that you were working in an agency, you quit your
Hmm.
job and you started your own agency, and you also spoke to the clients that you were already working with, and they moved from
Yeah.
that agency to your agency. But I'm sure there would have been a space where you had to speak to those clients, because now you were working individual, earn their trust and
Right.
get that first payment from them. How's that for you?
Correct. Yeah. So actually, the client that I first approached was a client I was confident about because I was handling the relations with them, right? I was the RM in that scenario. And all the conversations that I've had with them during the working with the previous agency, right? I had built a rapport wherein, they could trust me. So the trust that I had built, and they have been with me for almost a year and a half in the previous agency, right? So in a year and a half, everything that would go on the social media, that would be about brand consultation or anything, the kind of rapport I had built with them was in the end they used to say, Himani, you take a call, right? To build
Yeah,
to that level, I had to always ensure that everything that I'm putting out is really something that will help the brand upgrade, right? It shouldn't
absolutely.
backfire because these brands that I'm talking about are not mid-size or startup companies, right? So a lot of responsibility comes in because these are group companies wherein they have sister companies and stuff like that. This is the parent company that I was working with. So initially, when I decided that I should take a call and ask them if they're interested in shifting with me and coming to media most, honestly speaking, I was very nervous to get on a call because all sorts of thoughts come in, right? I mean, would they say yes or no? What if they say yes, but there's a negotiation term that comes in that, you're just starting out. So let's just go low on a retainer fee or stuff like that. When that happens, so how do I tackle it? So I had honestly noted down all possible questions he can ask me, right? And how do I
Yeah,
have a comeback? How do I ensure that the kind of questions he's asking me, all the credibility points are ticked off, correct? So for me, that was very important. So I had completely went prepared. And in the end, I said that whatever happens will be for good, If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't work out, one more challenge to get new clients. But I'll manage it because I've done it so far,
Yeah.
right? So initially, when the call happened, luckily he didn't negotiate on the retainer fee, and I was extremely happy. However, one roadblock that came in, right? The initial question that came in was, "But are you GST registered?" And I was like, "It's already in the process," because I had rushed in, 2 3 days you sit and a thought come and you're like, let's just get started. So I'd already put in the
Yeah.
papers, I had already processed GST registration and stuff, but these things do take like time, 7 working days or stuff like that. And I was honestly figuring this out. There was nobody who could help me that, this is how you have to reach out to CA or stuff like that. Everything was done on my own. So I was figuring out, I was reading, I was taking help from previous agency founders and stuff like that. And when pandemic happens, it becomes even difficult to meet people in person, get these stuff done.
Right.
And when you're registering as an LLP or a private limited, you need a partner, you need to have those terms
Yeah.
ready and stuff like that. So when the question came in, I was like, you know what, it will come in by end of the month, it will come in, and any which ways the billing happens by end of the month. But in my scenario, this thing got delayed by 2 months. So he
Oh.
he was like, I'm gonna pay you once the GST comes in. So the initial 2 months, there was no cash flow, honestly, from the client's end. It happened from the
Oh.
third month. Yeah. So that was a major roadblock. And since I was starting out on my own, it did freak me out because there are multiple payments that happens, designer fee, stuff like
Right.
that, content fee,
Right.
all that stuff. So, but still, I was like, let's just do it. If we have started, we'll figure out on the way, right? So that was a major
Absolutely.
roadblock, yeah. And from the third month, the moment I saw the first amount that came in the bank, I was like, okay, fine. Now I know we've done it, and
Yeah.
now this journey will go on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a beautiful story. And how many clients do you work with right now?
So currently we are catering 20 clients at this moment. It's a
Okay.
mix of
Okay.
B2B and B2C, but majorly if I'm to give you like a percent, 70% are B2C. And these are startups and mid-sized companies because like I said, when it comes to branding, I love to start out from scratch. So we are majorly helping startups because we also found a gap wherein, agencies were charging a bomb to startups, and since I had started on my own, I saw how finance is an aspect, that comes as a roadblock, but the quality shouldn't go off because of that. So
Yeah.
we came up with a proposal wherein, for startups, we'll work at a reasonable cost and we'll do brand
And
end to
what's the
end. So right
retainer?
from so our
And what's the
retainer base, yeah, yeah. So retainer, so branding is a one-off project, right? So
Yeah, yeah, right.
it initially comes down to like 90K and GST, some stuff like that, 90K to 1 lakh. But it has end to end, right? From your choosing the brand name to brand narrative, brand kit, your go-to market strategy execution, everything comes into it, right? So
Got
and
it.
it's a
Got it.
1 to 2 month project, right? So we came with that proposal and we put it to test, just to see if people are responding to it. And luckily, a lot of startups responded to it, and majorly they were B2C, and I was happy to let's get started with that. So that is something that we are
Yeah.
definitely doing. And then of course mid-sized companies are B2B majorly, so these B2B for lead generation, content generation, website designs, maintenance, and stuff like that. So that is something that we're catering to right now.
Okay, so your branding is a one-off project, and the content creation, the lead generation that you would do is a retainer, right?
Yeah, correct, correct.
Okay, great. Okay. And if you would like to share, what is the kind of revenue you make in a month?
It's a six-figure agency as of now. So, and we are a team of 8 people right now. So, yeah,
Okay,
and
that's
now
amazing.
we are planning to go global. So we have worked with international clients, but the time zones were something that gets difficult, right? When you have a small team, but that is something that we're building right now.
Yeah, that's amazing. I so relate to you because we have a team of 8 people as well working in our team. And I would love to know, there's a curious question here, and I would have multiple questions regarding this, but I would have a curious question. What if that, one day the team members that you have are learning
Hmm.
from the agency and are working with you, but what if one of them would want to start an agency of their own, just like you,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
move forward with talking to your clients that you have in your agency today? How would you handle that situation?
So see, we whatever processes that happens right from hiring people, be it an intern, be it a full-time employee, stuff like that, everything happens from a legal point of view, right? So we have our agreement signed up, and it has certain terms and conditions. So they can't really poach clients. That is something there. However, if they're interested to start out their own agency and want to speak to our clients, the initial discussion will happen with me because legally they are bound to inform me. And
Yeah,
if so, honestly speaking, I'm very much open to, if somebody says that they want to start out, I'm very much open to help them out, honestly, because I know how it goes. And if luckily
yeah,
the team members that I have, they're beautiful at what they do, honestly, extremely professional,
yeah.
extremely creative. I'm very proud of the team that I have, and the kind of trust we have built, right, in just 2.5 years time span. The team has been the same, the core team has been the same, and that speaks volume of loyalty from their side and from our side as well. So that scenario hasn't happened yet, but in case it does, very much happy to help them a bit here and there, depending on the kind of clients they're handling, right? Because relationship management also plays a very important role. And if I see potential, definitely, just like the previous agencies waived non-compete for me so that I grow, I would definitely pass out that to my team members as well.
Absolutely. And one of the most important thing is that while you're growing your business, the most important
Hmm.
thing is lead acquisition or client acquisition for yourself. So, what are the processes and strategies that you've implied for yourself to have that constant flow of business coming in?
Right, right. This is something that I am working daily on right from the beginning, right? So initially what happened was, it everything happened via word of mouth, and like,
Yeah,
it was good to see when that happens. You never think of ideas on how do you reach out to client and stuff like that, because everything is
yeah,
coming naturally to you. You're like, okay, fine. Like, there was a time wherein we had to say no to certain projects because we were a small team. So initially it was word of mouth via references. So, and then what we did is, that there came in a time wherein we were like, okay, now we really need to expand, and now we really need to crack certain markets. So what we did is, we positioned ourselves as a branding and design agency, because like I said, these are the two major services we want to focus, and we really forte at the kind of quality output we give out. It speaks volume about the work we do, right? So
right.
initially we began with word of mouth, and then slowly I started getting into certain networking groups, right? Lead Club being one of them, and then there are multiple groups, and then you start getting connected with people, you start meeting people. So in my case, instead of reaching out to everyone and saying that, what, I run an agency, blah blah blah, I hate spamming people, honestly. I mean, if
I love
somebody does
that.
it to me, I would not like it. So I prefer not to do that. I mean, even if I'm part of certain groups, I just don't go out pitching, that we do this, we do this. No. So that is something
Absolutely.
that I'm extremely against that. So the only option that was left for me to initially start on was build a good network, not on the basis of this is a service I provide, this is a service you provide, let's just collaborate. No, from a base point of view of knowing the other founders, knowing people, knowing what they do, building genuine relations with them, right, beyond profession, basically. And that honestly came naturally. And then when I started sitting and making notes about it, I realized, oh, this is actually a tactic that people use, but it came naturally.
A lot of female founders that I've been speaking to, and I especially say female founders, for them this comes naturally to them. Building a
Definitely.
relationship, the hospitality, the warmness that they bring to the table. I think I myself, until this part of the agency, the 3.5 years or 4 years of my
Hmm.
business being built up, it's completely referrals and word of mouth. Now I might look at scaling up and look at the
Definitely. Hmm.
marketing strategies, but up until this point it has been word of mouth and referrals. And I think this has been one point which most females have told me, that they acquire clients
Definitely.
through this process. So I think that's one of the key connectors. And I absolutely loved when you said that you hate spamming people, because you wouldn't want
Yeah,
that to happen to yourself. So that's really
definitely.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And comparatively, if you see, women are more empathetic as well,
Empathetic,
right? So
yeah,
when,
right.
yeah, empathetic. So when that happens, you're not just helping them by pitching your services, but you go beyond. You always go beyond
Right.
that. This is what I have seen. Maximum women entrepreneurs, or let's just say someone working also at a senior level, I've always seen them being extremely helpful, regardless of what gender. So they are extremely helpful, very supportive as well. So that's some that I think comes naturally to most women, I guess. So that has been
Absolutely.
helpful. And then, like I said, so cold email is something that we do. We test it out. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Like it is something that you're just testing it out, right?
Yeah,
That
it's
is
a
something that
marketing
we do.
strategy.
Yeah, yeah. However,
Yeah.
we don't do any paid marketing to reach out and get clients and stuff like that. I personally yet don't believe to do that. Like, we are at a stage wherein we have built enough credibility that we can reach out to people via mail, referrals, honestly speaking, still works wonderfully. So what we have done is we have selected certain niches, and so in those niches we have worked with different clients, right? So that speaks volumes. For just to give you an example, jewelry business, be it
Yeah.
diamond jewelry, lab grown, be it imitation, we have worked with all of them. So when that comes in your portfolio, a jewelry brand immediately trusts you, right? And then it is all about how you pitch and stuff like that. And when it comes to pitches, we have custom pitches for every client. We do not believe in
Yeah.
sticking the same portfolio and be like, this is what we do. If you are interested, come on. But no, we look at the problem
Absolutely. I
they have.
100% agree to that.
Yeah, and then we propose solution basis that, and we also consider their budgets, because if you propose a solution and the budgets don't match, it honestly doesn't make sense, right? So we consider the budget. So for that, we have a discovery call set up with clients, wherein we understand their requirements, the kind of metrics they have, because metric is another important aspect. You also run a marketing agency, I'm sure you know. There have been certain times wherein certain clients be like, "This is not working out. What are you charging for?"
Yeah,
Stuff like
yeah.
that happens, right?
And
So
I think
initially, yeah,
I would really like to add where you said that you do not have one size fits it all. It's a customized
yeah,
proposal. I've seen a lot of people saying that for you to be able to scale your agency, you need like a productized service. I hear all of that, but I also feel that the clients are coming to you is because they want an easy life in their business. They
correct,
want things off their plate, and they want
right,
that personalization because we have built, of course, that credibility, that trust. But there are so many big brands in the world who could serve them, and I say this with confidence, they could serve them 100 times better. We know that because they are bigger brands,
definitely,
they have
yeah,
more experience. Then what it makes them to choose us is because we give them the personalization that big brand
exactly,
doesn't have the time for. And that's our leverage.
correct,
That's not really a disadvantage, that's an advantage, that we can give them that
definitely,
personalization that they won't get out, where they might get 100% more return, but that
hmm,
personalization will not come in, and it will become that productized service. So
right,
absolutely relate
right.
to you on that. Yeah, please go
In
ahead, you were
fact,
sharing something.
yeah, in fact, to add to what you said, right? When we say big agencies can do better or can give more ROI,
Yeah,
honestly speaking, the clients that have come to me have worked with big agencies. You name India's
yeah.
top agency, and the first feedback they have given me is, Himani, the kind of expectations we had, it was never met. There was no
Absolutely.
communication happening. There was no transparency. They were charging a bomb, but we could not see that sort of returns. And your
Right.
personalization, like you mentioned, right, that was missing. The main aspect, I strongly believe in a service-based company. The way you maintain your relations is very important. It goes a long way. If the
Absolutely.
relations are
Yeah.
maintained well, that's how referrals also come in. That's how you reach out to more people as well. So that was something it was not just one client, but multiple clients who name, I don't want to name those agencies, but trust me, top Indian agencies, right? And when I heard the feedback, and I was like, oh, this is something where we can
That's
leverage
our
much better,
advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So we
yeah,
came up with custom pricing policy. Because when custom pricing policy happens, it actually helps each individual company to scope out their budgets better. To if they
yeah.
feel that what, Imani, your budgets are high, I cannot really afford it right now. Can you deduct a certain service? We are open to that, right? So custom pricing policy also is something that we took it as a leverage, and that is something that we are leveraging at, and it goes a long way, honestly. Personalized proposals, custom pricing policy goes a very long way.
Absolutely, 100%. I think I relate to you on so many levels. I can see that,
Mhm.
oh, this is what I do in my agency as well. This is how what we do as well. So I can relate to you
Right.
on so many things. This has been a very insightful conversation, but I would love for you to share that to all the females who are listening to this podcast at this moment, that if anybody wants to start a business, they are on that verge of whether I should start or not. If they want to start a business, what is your advice? That's question number one. Question number two is that what is the first step they should take towards building a business?
Okay, so I mean, I am someone who doesn't like generalizing advices, because it might not be ideal fit
Yeah.
for everyone, but certain things that I definitely consider that when somebody's thinking of starting out, what they should ideally consider is, first thing, which I learned the hard way, is not every day is going to be the best. You are going to
Yeah.
come up with challenges you've never ever thought of. So if you have that sort of capacity, and if you're in for a roller coaster ride, when I say roller coaster ride, I literally mean it.
Yeah,
Because
I
as a
second
founder,
that.
yeah, you never know. Today bank has suddenly decided that certain transactions will not happen. You need LUT for international clients. These are all CA
Yeah.
terms, right?
PayPal has
Constantly.
suddenly
Uh,
decided to stop your payments because some threshold has been reached. Now you need a
yeah, I
ICU code and
multiple,
whatnot.
correct. Your
Yeah,
designer is your designer is unwell today, and you have submissions. What do? So what I would
yeah,
recommend is, first, be sure of what you are getting into. When I say what you're getting into, understand the kind of team members you'll require, the kind of important roles that are required, right? And try to learn about these roles on your own. Try to be a generalist. When I say generalist, if
yeah,
I'm to give you an example, if you're an agency owner, understand basics of design. Try learning to do some of the stuff on your own, so that when you're pitching, when you're talking to clients, these come very handy, right? Because you need to have an understanding of those. Have basic understandings of how finances work, your Excel sheet, balance sheet, how you can save taxes, where all can you MSME certificates, is it really required, not required, what's LUT, how do you reach out to international clients, stuff like that. So basics of finances, basics of the main product or service that you are gonna start up with. These two things are majorly important. Third, like I said, you cannot expect a static static work mode, right? Like, for example, every day won't be the same. You won't be doing the same monotonous work every day, so it would be different. So be very much open to handling your patients on a daily basis, trying to have a work-life balance. And lastly, finances, honestly speaking, because like I mentioned, I was lucky that I had started out early, and there was no responsibility as such that, what if this doesn't work out, it's the end of anything, right? So I
yeah,
was
yeah,
lucky in that case, but I know certain women who are married, or maybe who are starting in their mid 30s or mid 40s, stuff like that. And if you are at that age, you have to consider a lot of financial backup as well. The kind of investment you'll be putting in. Worst case scenario, if it doesn't work out, what's your backup? So when I say
yeah,
backup, financial backup, I don't mean a backup business idea plan, because when you have a backup business idea plan, you'll never be able to make the existing one better. So just don't
yeah,
have a backup plan for business, but backup plan for investments, and just be open to gaining more knowledge. And this is something that I'm learning right now. Extremely disciplined. Be extremely disciplined. When that happens,
yeah,
your business like, you'll see impact in business majorly. I mean, I've personally seen that. So yeah, these are little bit, like I said, like, not all advices would be an ideal fit for everyone, but I think these are the basics that if you tick these off, these metrics, I think you're good to go to get
Yeah.
started, and then
I
initially
think
everything falls in place.
I think these are golden nuggets. They are definitely not little bits. These are major ones because I can relate to that journey staying here. When, I love the way you said that trying to have, and you focused on trying to have a work life
Yeah.
balance, because you will not really have a work life balance in the first three,
No.
4 years
Yeah.
of your
Yeah. Yeah.
business. You move towards that goal, it doesn't happen from day one. And the
Correct.
fact that you mentioned that financial backup is required, that's one thing that I keep repeating in and out, that you should have, like, when I started my business, I quit my job just after my marriage. We got married,
Hmm.
and
Okay.
11 days later was my last working day at IBM. And
Oh.
then my
Hmm.
financial backup was my husband, right? He was my soft cushion. So I
Right.
really related when you said that have a financial backup in a way that you know that the finances for the bread and butter are sorted out, everything else can
Right.
wait. So I think whatever you've mentioned are really golden nuggets. And if any women who is starting out would give attention to it and listen to it and make notes, they are definitely on for a good future and looking forward.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I think these help, and like I mentioned, anyone who's starting out and anyone who needs help. This is something I told myself and multiple people, because I know when I started out, I learned a lot. Law, CA, costs of CA, right?
Yeah.
The kind, what business you want to get into, how much percent GST and stuff like that. Nobody taught us. We had to learn on our
Yeah.
own. So I am extremely open to helping out someone who's starting out and need help. I've saved every contact, and I just pass on that, you can rely on this person to get these things sorted for you. So very much open to helping any women or men who's starting out, and if any sort of help or requirement they need from branding aspect, design aspect, or let's just say business journey also, very much open to it. You all can reach out to me on LinkedIn or via mail. Very much open to that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Hanani. We'll definitely put your LinkedIn link in the description of the video when the podcast goes live. And thank you so much for such an insightful conversation and sharing your experience, your journey, your roadblocks, your achievements. And thank you so much for giving your time. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you so much for having me, and I hope this helps certain people at least.
I know it definitely will. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.